This exhibition is looking at Beirut in the Golden Sixties. We want to celebrate the achievements of the artists, of the writers, of all the cultural figures that made Beirut this exciting and important place. As you know, we all think of that time as a golden age. But at the same time, in this exhibition, we ask a question. Why did we have a civil war in 1975, the repercussions of which are still very much with us today, if indeed it was only a perfect golden age?
It's an exhibition that looks at fragility, you know, how we are fragile as human beings, as artists, of course, but also how our countries, how our region is fragile.
To do an exhibition at this moment is a very, very important responsibility. How can you talk about the good things? How can you talk about the pain? How can you talk about a place that is still going through difficult situations? So this was in a way the most important challenge, to do something that is sensitive, that can be a reason for people to come together and think together about how we can move forward.
For me, symbolically, it's very important to bring this exhibition to Doha because I was the director of the Sirso Museum back in Beirut until I came last year. And I was at the Sirso Museum when the Beirut blast happened. And I mean, this is my story too. But also for me, it's a way of like linking, you know, my life in Lebanon and my new life here in Qatar.
The Arab Museum of Modern Art in Doha is a very, very important institution. It's the first and one institution of its kind that has promoted and collected artwork from the Arab world. And to show the Beirut exhibition in this context is important because it's showing that the art scene in Beirut was part of a bigger story, the story of Arab art in the Arab world in the 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s.
In order to appreciate contemporary art, you need to first understand and acknowledge. And the Arab modern art is more and more looked at throughout, you know, the world. And we are appreciating more the role that it played in the more global art history. And this is a perfect demonstration that the Arab artists from the 1960s were as avant-gardists, as pioneers, and not like copying, you know, artists from the same period from the West.
I think on one hand, of course, we would like to introduce people to some of the very important artists that maybe are not so known, to understand better why Beirut was such an important center of artistic production, of literary production, but maybe also to think of it as a cautionary tale, that underneath this glittering surface, there were so many problems that were simmering beneath the surface, and because people were not conscious enough to find a way of accepting their differences, this led to a big problem, the war until now. And I think the cautionary tale is for people to celebrate difference, to be tolerant, to accept that while we are different, we have all the right to coexist.